people like should dress up to church.
Of course.
Now we dress up to our workplace. We dress up to important meetings.
Yes, meetings.
Yeah.
Well, we want to be respected.
Exactly. In fact, if we just even hear that the president, don't forget president said, the CEO of a company, we're having a meeting with the CEO of a company, and we need to close a deal with that
Right,
company.
dressed.
People dressed like so well to
Covered up. Yes.
exactly. And then when it now comes to the house of the maker of the universe, you will now think, no, I should dress to show my
I have liberty. I have liberty. After all, it's my father's house.
exactly.
So I have to be free.
You understand? We go to other places, our conscience tells us. So from a moral standpoint, even before we begin to now look at scriptures, I really think this shouldn't be a debate.
Yeah,
You understand? It shouldn't even be a question of but sadly the fact that this has been a long though there can be the extreme, like there can be the extreme part of it where people are saying you must not wear this evil. In fact, if you look at what Paul was saying, it says, let that not be your beauty. He said don't wear it at all. Right? Like
that should not be what your bank.
exactly.
Your beauty should not be based on it. It should flow from the
Yes. Your confidence should not be on it.
Yeah.
Your self-esteem should not be on it. You're wearing. Yeah, it should yeah. So but I think at this point we can now see what does the Bible even say about how we should appear in the presence of God. Okay, one scripture I would even like to I would like to even take it back to the beginning, like to the early now let's talk about the issue of people who are dressing down to church and saying, oh, this is not bad and oh. Now there's something about nakedness that even God himself had to kill animals to clothe and use the skin of the animals to
cover the Adam and Eve, right?
yeah. So if nakedness doesn't matter, if some part of your body like that should be covered, it doesn't matter. God should have allowed man to be walking without like parts it be covered. So that is the first instance, and that is I think from Genesis chapter 3 and verse 21. Well, that's the first instance, right? And it shows that there are some parts of our body that should be covered.
Yes.
That establishes
What we start seeing
there. Like if this part should be covered in some places, like then the church should not now be where it should be exposed.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Should be modest.
It should be modest.
Modestly dressed.
Now, even back in the olden days, this is I think somewhere I say in the Old Testament, somewhere in Exodus, where Moses was describing how the priests, because then it was only the priests that could enter the church in quotes, the tabernacle,
the holies of
holies. It's only the priests that could enter there in quotes, and that's tabernacle. Then that place now is now the present day church as we all know it. So if we are equating that to this present day church, Moses was giving instruction. He says because the priests wear gown.
Yeah.
When he says he must wear something inside his gown.
Yeah.
To enter that place, he's wearing gown or he's even covering like bringing everywhere and but he said he was wearing something underneath it so that when he's walking his body parts will not be exposed anywhere inside that distance. So that already talks about the fact that we should be properly
properly covered. Yes, covered and present vital part that you're supposed to be covering in the first place.
Exactly. So like this like they're still in the Old Testament. We'll never come to the New Testament. I mean, so people argue that those are laws given to the Old Testament and all. But we have places in like are there scriptures which you think in the New Testament that talks about this? And from the point of the fact that this gospel church is not about us. It's about others.
Yeah.
Like first of all, it's about God, giving God glory and all. So now, if we're doing everything to the glory of God, we should be able to consider the next person.
Yeah, of course, the next man. How does my action, how does the way I dress affects the next man to be? Because we all have different levels of faith.
Yeah.
There are some things that may not cause you to sin, it might cause another man to sin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the way you dress can make somebody wait to sin.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So before you do anything, your actions, before you begin to say, oh, I'm expressing my liberty, I'm expressing my actions based on my freedom, you should think of the next.
Next person. Yeah.
How is this going to affect this person?
Yeah.
How is it going to affect this brother? How is it going to affect this sister? You should put them into consideration
Yeah.
before you begin to act.